Hello and welcome to Low Budget Gaming and welcome to another first Descendant video. So today I have a couple of builds for Hailey, one for Void Erosion Purge Stage 10 and one for general mobbing purposes. Um, However, I want to say that I do not recommend building Hailey right now. She's in a bit of a weird spot. Um, there are other descendants who do the jobs she does much better. She was good and she was came out for taking out bosses, but the bosses got nerfed and now a lot of descendants can take out the bosses comfortably. Void Erosion Purge, when it first came out, it was purely gun based, and so Hailey and Glade, these guys were meta. However, that also got nerfed multiple times. Now it's more skill oriented, and a lot of other descendants can do the job. So, unfortunately for Hailey, um, the other descendants just do a better job. However, I'll still share the builds because you may want to try her out, you may like her playstyle, or you may just want a challenge, something different. So you can try these out. I had a post on the community tab yesterday basically saying the same thing, that I have a build, but I don't want to make a video. And we had a bit of a discussion, a lot of back and forth with different people. And a couple of people said we still want to see the build. So that's why I thought I'll just upload the video. And hopefully she gets a rework in season 3 or something and becomes more useful. So first up, let's look at the Void Erosion Purge Stage 10. That is one of the main content that people do over and over to get the course. And for this one, what we have is Hailey using the Albion Cavalry gun mostly, and then maybe you can use the dagger for the boss at the end, Greg. You can also use Malevolent. Although personally, when I equip the Malevolent, it feels like we have given up on the Descendant, and because their skills are not good, I would use a Malevolent with people like Eugene, for example. But other than that, I don't like using the Malevolent. Anyway, so let's first look at the build here. The build is basically more or less similar to what we had back in February when Void Erosion Purge came out. So we are putting all the power into the gun and reducing the skill cost and the MP so that her third ability is always up. So we have strong mentality and maximize conservation to reduce the skill cost. We have energy collection again to increase the MP and MP recovery basically. We have MP conversion to reduce the cooldown. We have focus on chill, focus on singular again to reduce the cooldown and also to give us a little bit of skill for the first cryogenic cluster shot if we are using the cryogenic cluster shot transcendent mode. Then we have 2 HP mods to give us a good amount of health against the enemies in Void Erosion Purge 10. I have short focus to give more power to the gun again at the expense of skill power modifier. And then finally, I'm also using hyper focus. So when we land a skill critical hit, we get firearm critical hit damage. When we land a firearm critical hit, we get skill critical damage. This will be helpful if we have the third ability up and we are using the Albion Cavalry, so it should be a bit easier to do that. So this is basically the setup for Void Erosion Purge Stage 10 for the build. For the components, we are using the 4 pieces of the Polar Knight. This gives us extra chill power for 2 pieces. For 4 pieces, when we inflict frostbite on an enemy, we get stacks of firearm critical hit damage and skill critical hit damage, 10 stacks. Now keep in mind, frostbite is not the status of Hailey. We will be getting the frostbite from the Albion Cavalry. And also, when we defeat an enemy based on our max HP, we do more damage to enemies within a 2.5 meter radius. This is why we have 2 HP mods, and total we are getting around almost 24,000 HP over here. Okay, for the reactor, we have Frozen Singularity. I'm using skill cooldown and singular skill power. You can also use skill critical hit damage and cooldown. This is the one I use with VSA. The only reason I'm not using this one is because this reactor doesn't have a machine gun mounting. So that is why I'm using this one, because this one does. The Inversion Reinforcement for Void Erosion Purge, we want the chill focus rounds, most important to say. We want the firearm critical hit ammo system, so when we land a firearm critical hit, it improves the reload time. You can also use things like risk mitigation protocol to reduce the incoming damage, or if you're using the Malevolent, you can use Evolutionary Cutting Mechanism. We don't really need MP here because our skill cost reduction will manage that for us. We won't run out of MP. For the Arche tuning, it will basically depend on the gun. So Albion Cavalry in our case, and how you set it up. So I have two setups for the Albion Cavalry. I'll show you that first, and then I'll show you the Arche tuning. For first, the normal crit-based alongside element-based setup. I have this mod page here. So action reaction, rifling reinforcement, better concentration, concentration priority, fire rate, chill enhancement, chill priority, and then two mods for ammo, skill, expand weapon charge, and concentrate support ammo, along with sharp precision shot because we do have a lot of ammo, so we can use this one. For the rolls and cores, I have firearm attack, firearm critical hit damage, chill attack, multi-hit chance. And we have fire rate, chill in the free core, chill in the element core. Red core, I have firearm critical hit damage, and fire rate in the green one. Now I have chill on the roll here. You can I have multi-hit chance. You can use something else like firearm critical hit rate if you're not going with the multi-hit stuff. And for this setup, what I would recommend is something like this for the Arche tuning. So take all the gun related stuff, the weak point stuff, accuracy, all the stuff here. The affinity will not help us here, but we do need to get up to here. So we are taking this route. We're taking the enhanced firearm attack. We're taking the purple firearm, the enhanced critical hit rate, critical hit damage. And then for the mutant cell in the top left, we are taking defense neutralization. So when we land a skill hit on an enemy with full HP, so when the enemy has full HP, it'll reduce their resistances. So use your first ability to get this. And so this will be the setup for Albion Cavalry with the critical hit damage. Now, if you want to build the Albion Cavalry with multi-hit stuff, you can do something like this. We still want to keep most of the crit stuff. We are dropping the chill priority. We're taking chill enhancement. We are taking consecutive weak point strikes to give us more multi-hit chance. We are taking multi-piercing trigger, multi-sights. And so this one will give us a little more multi-hit. If we see here, we will be getting 35% multi-hit and 5.85 times multi-hit damage. Again, not a lot, but at least it's giving us something here. If we add the Arche tuning for all multi-hit related stuff, it'll look something like this. So we are not taking the mutant cell, we are taking all the multi-hit stuff. And with this setup, the multi-hit numbers will change a little bit, 43.19 and 657. So this will change depending on how you want to use the gun. I've tried both of them, and to me, it doesn't seem that different. The annoying thing in Void Erosion Purge is all the big damage numbers on your face in front of you. That makes it hard to aim and shoot. So turning off that might actually be more useful than any of these things. So this is the Void Erosion Purge 10 build. And yeah, it's fine. If you do solo, you're looking at around 8 minutes, maybe 10 minutes, depending on the map that you get on the day that you are playing, because we have different maps. If you are in a group, then it doesn't really matter. If there is a Serena in the group, she will just do everything and you'll probably just be trying to keep up. So unfortunately, that is the reality for Hailey these days. Now on to the mobbing build. So I have to make some minor adjustments. We'll keep the same reactor. We'll keep the same components. For the Arche tuning, what we are going to do is we are going to focus purely on the skill damage. So we will take all the skill, cost reduction, big enhanced skill power, all the normal skill powers, the MP cooldown. We go up top to the top right. We take chill cohesion in the mutant cell, and we take some more MP over here. For the inversion reinforcement, we make some adjustments once again. We go with more MP. With the neural focus augmentation, we will take selective neurostimulation, and we will take the adrenaline rush for mobbing. Because the enemies are weaker, we have a slightly more skill-based build. We need the MP. Okay, and for the build itself, we go with all skill-related stuff. We are trying to put as much skill power into our first ability as possible. So we are taking focus on singular. We are taking chill integration. We are taking integration because this gives us skill critical hit rate, and singular will give a skill critical hit rate, and this will give a skill critical hit damage a little bit because we don't want to remove the crit, because we will be getting some crit damage from Hailey's third ability. And we have power increase instead of focus on chill, again to balance out and give us more power. We have focus on singular. We have nimble fingers and MP conversions for cooldown, energy collection to get the MP recovery, skill expansion for the range. We get HP amplification for the health, and we have technique manual. So technique manual, what this does is whatever your total HP is, it multiplies that by 4.6 and gives you the total. So you can keep the same polar knight set, or if you want more HP, what you can do is, because we are relying a little more on the skills, we can use 2 pieces of plague alongside this, and this will give us 20,000 HP, and this will get multiplied by 4.6 when we hit the enemy. So basically, when we are hitting the enemy, the extra damage dealt that you see sometimes, that is basically the technique manual in this case. So let's say we have one Vulgus 1100, because 1100 is what you will run into with the 400%. So if we hit this guy here, see the extra damage you see on the right, 92,967, that is from the technique manual. Okay, so that is the build here. We covered the components. The reactor is the same. Again, if you have the critical hit damage reactor, that would be fine. The gun is the same. We are using the Albion Cavalry. The dagger, you can use the dagger if you want against the elites, but it's not necessary against the end bosses at 400%. I have the secret guarded because it's on the reactor, and also it will help you run faster, so no harm in that. Plus, it's a decent gun with a lot of crit damage. So covered Arche Tuning, reactor, components, build, inversion. Yeah, we've covered the inversion as well. And so this will be the build for mobbing. Now, the main thing we are trying to do here is get as much damage from our first ability as possible. And we have lowered the cooldown to 1.5 seconds for the first ability. So we'll be spamming this, getting the benefit of the damage from here. We'll be using the gun. The Albion Cavalry will help us move fast as well. So when we are holding the gun, the movement slowdown that we get with Hailey, that will not be a big problem for us in this case. And over here, so let me show you the first ability. See here, these level 100 Vulgus, we can kill them easily with the first ability. And with the Albion Cavalry, you can also keep up, I suppose. Or you can switch to the Secret Garden and keep up with the other faster descendants. Again, if you're going to play in a group, they will run ahead and do everything for you. You will just be hanging around. If you do solo, obviously it'll still be quite slow. But if you want a challenge, you can try something like this. So that is the build for Hailey with mobbing. Yeah, let me know what you think, because yeah, at this point, like I said earlier, I do not recommend Hailey because she needs a rework. Like a lot of people like her, but unfortunately, with the content getting nerfed and Hailey not really getting much of a change, things are similar. Like they did give her a buff recently, very recently. They just increased the damage. However, that doesn't fundamentally change the way she works. And with mobbing, you need to clear a lot of enemies very quickly. And in other places, you need to do a lot of damage. And it just doesn't currently work. So they really, really need to look into Hailey soonish and, make her viable again. But yeah, that is it for this one. Thank you for watching if you did, and see you next time.